So the Tennessee velvet season has come to an end, and for the first time ever, I can say I was successful. So not only was I successful in claiming my first ever velvet buck, this was also my first ever archery buck, and it was my first ever one and done sit. So with this one, there was actually a lot of firsts for me. But to tell the story of this buck, I'm gonna start at the beginning, which was about 2 months ago when I seen him on camera for the first time. So this was a spot that I hunted a lot last year with very little success. I probably went 10 or 15 times to this spot and never once seen a shooter buck. But the history of this place has a lot of shooter bucks. I know it's a really solid property. I just haven't had the luck there yet. And coming into this season, I had a lot of confidence that that might change. Not only did we put out a pretty solid food plot of clover there, but also towards the end of last season when I had already harvested my 2 bucks in Tennessee, because that's the limit, we had seen a couple pretty good bucks coming in and out of there. So I had a little bit of confidence that maybe coming into this year, we'd have a pretty solid shooter. And that's exactly what happened. Early on in the velvet period, when their antlers were growing, I started to see a buck that was significantly bigger than all the rest, and that would end up being the buck that I targeted this weekend. I never ended up getting a ton of footage of the actual hunt, and the reason that is this was pretty rushed. I mean, we only got the blind out like last weekend, so all of this came together pretty quickly. But from there, it's probably time to fast forward to the day of the actual hunt. All right, so it's Friday, August 27th, first day of the 3-day velvet hunt, and it's hot. It's about 88 degrees outside. It's kind of miserable out here, to be honest, but we're at the property I did the food plot earlier in the year, and been seeing a really nice 8-pointer come in here every evening. So I got honestly a really good feeling about today. Probably the best feeling I've ever had going into a hunt, that it's gonna come together. And you know, we got 3 days. If not today, maybe tomorrow. If not tomorrow, maybe the next day. But I got the old Adapt 2 down there. Hopefully we can get it done today. Hopefully I do not suffocate in this blind, because it is really, really hot. Let's see what happens. I mean, only thing you can do is try, right? So it was hot. It was miserable. I stunk in the blind. I really did not think it was gonna happen on Friday. I smelt so bad. Like, the amount that I was sweating is insane. The blind had to be over 100 degrees inside. It was probably the most miserable hunt of my life. Like, I will never complain again about it being too cold. And the way that this went down, it's unbelievable. If I heard somebody tell this story, I wouldn't believe it. But you just got to bear with me here and know that I'm telling you the truth. I have no reason to lie. So after that clip you just seen, I just sat there waiting for hours for it to get cooler outside, knowing that in that kind of heat, there wasn't really a great chance of them coming out. So at about 30 minutes before the end of legal shooting light, I ended up hearing something behind the blind, and I got pretty excited. I thought, well, here we go. It's gonna happen. I got my bow up. I didn't draw, but I did get my bow up, hearing that it was getting closer and closer and closer. I peek out the window, and it's 2 people walking up to the blind. So that was not what I was expecting. They had apparently been given permission to frog gig. I didn't know this was happening, so this was a total shock to me. I got out of the blind, talked to them for a couple minutes, and kind of figured, well, my hunt's already over, so there's no real big deal in talking to these people for a couple minutes. So I talked to them for probably 10 minutes. They leave, I get back in the blind. Obviously now there's like 20 minutes left of legal shooting light. And I kid you not, 5 minutes later from the other direction, I start hearing crunching through the leaves. Once again, I get my bow ready. I'm being pretty hesitant this time though, because of what just happened. That was kind of a weird situation. So I get my bow ready. I kind of look out the window, I just peek, and I start to see the buck that my shooter has been hanging out with a lot of the summer walking into the field. Right then I realize whatever's about to happen is gonna happen, because I've never seen that buck without seeing my shooter with him. So I take a deep breath. I wanna get my bow drawn back pretty early, because the window that I'm shooting out of is pretty big. I did not plan this right at all. I put the wrong window to the front, so the shot was always going to be kind of difficult to get off, and it was always going to be kind of difficult for them not to see me draw back in the blind. But all this kind of went perfectly. I drew back, got my anchor, and as soon as I anchored, this buck walks past the window at about 20 yards. So everything is perfect. I'm drawing back, the buck is sitting there at 20 yards, perfectly broadside, and I start to pull back slowly. Well, not pull back, but you know how a thumb release works. I start to apply tension slowly to the thumb release. Everything looks perfect, but he starts to notice me as I'm doing this, and it's pretty obvious that he notices me. I was really confident I could get the shot off, so I kept doing my thing. I kept staying still, trying to stay calm, trying not to twitch or anything. And as the arrow is beginning to release, he does this weird thing where he like dips and turns at the same time. It was really odd to me. And this is when everything went wrong. I see the arrow plunge directly into his chest, like frontal, which is not good when you're bow hunting. Frontal shots are not exactly what you want to go for. But yeah, there was no stopping the arrow. It was on its path, plunged frontal right into his chest, and I just kind of right then and there was like, I didn't get it. There was no way I got it. That was probably the worst feeling I've had in a long time. To hunt that deer, well, not hunt the deer, but to watch him on camera for like 2 months, knowing this was the buck I was going to target, putting in all the proper steps to get a chance at shooting him, and then having everything go perfect, drawing back perfectly, getting him broadside exactly where he needed to be, and then having that happen, it was a nightmare. So then I wait a little bit, I get out of the blind because obviously I need to at least check and see if there's, you know, any sign that the shot did what it was supposed to. Is there any blood on the ground at all? There was none, which if you shoot him frontal, there's not going to be an exit, so there's not exactly a ton of chance for blood. And this is kind of when I just, in my mind, was like, yeah, I didn't get him. I couldn't have. It went frontal. There's not a drop of anything on the ground. This looks pretty bad. And the field is full of clover. So the field is bright green. If there's something on the ground, it's pretty obvious to see. It's not hard to see it. But I gave it a little more time, and then I just kind of started walking in the direction that I seen the deer go. I'm not gonna not check. Even though it doesn't look good, it's still the right thing to do to check and see. Maybe, you know, he ran right into the tree line and fell. And we could not have gotten more lucky. That's exactly what happened. This arrow plunged. And when I say plunged, it went all the way to the fletchings, frontal, which obviously that'll do a lot of damage. It's not the best looking shot. It's not a shot that I would try to repeat, but it happened, and clearly I got pretty lucky with it because that deer dropped within 40 yards. I don't really have any video from after harvesting the deer. I don't really have many photos either. I have a few, but it was pretty hot outside and I wanted to get the deer cleaned, get it caped out so I could avoid any meat going bad. Obviously, with it being as warm as it was, that's always a concern. This was also my first time doing the velvet hunt. I did it last year too, but it wasn't like this. I kind of just went out and sat somewhere where I had like no confidence that it was gonna happen. This was more of a, I'm pretty sure if I do this right, it's gonna happen type of a thing. And we got really blessed and lucky that it did. I haven't scored him yet. He's already off to the taxidermist, so not gonna be able to score him until I get him back. But a pretty incredible story for me. First archery buck, first one and done sit ever, first velvet buck, lots of firsts here. I was really relieved to see him down when I found him. I really was more than nervous. I was pretty sure that I didn't get him. So one of those moments where it's probably better to be lucky than good, that's for sure. But I was just talking about this last weekend during my video about how I was gonna do this velvet hunt and how I did have a target buck already picked out. So I felt like it was almost essential, even though I don't have a ton of video of the hunt, to get you guys some kind of explanation on what happened, some kind of follow-up. And yeah, that's the follow-up. It's about as good as it could have been. I appreciate you guys for watching. There's already another story in the works of another target buck that's shown up, so hopefully in a couple months you see a video on that too. Hopefully that one's more in depth. Hopefully there's more actual content surrounding the buck in that one. And yeah, appreciate you guys for watching. If you want to see more stuff like this, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. As always, hunt the shadows, fish the depths. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.